So I was diagnosed with bowel cancer in May 2013. Running up to that, I'd been perfectly healthy. I was very active. I was a competitive runner. I was a mixed martial artist, practiced yoga, was in the gym 5-6 times a week, and hadn't been to see my GP for 7 years. What happened was that I started to get one symptom, which was I was going to the toilet a lot. And that built up, and eventually I was going to the toilet. By that I mean going for a poo 12 times a day. And so I knew that there was something wrong. I tried to address that by playing with my diet. I thought there was something wrong, so I got a few little tests done about food allergies and that sort of thing. And when nothing helped with that, that's when I went to my GP. I saw a locum GP who, because of my age, he spontaneously said to me, without me asking about cancer, he spontaneously said, "You're too young to have bowel cancer." I know that's not true. But he thought that I'd got a bowel infection, and so did some tests on that. When that came back negative, I went back. It happened to be a different doctor that I saw, who then did some blood tests, which came back normal. So I was referred to a colonoscopy, which is where they put a camera up your bum to see what's going on in your colon. The results of that showed that there was something there, and they did a CT scan. And a few days later, I had the results of all the biopsies that were taken. And so I was diagnosed with bowel cancer and told that it had already spread to my liver and both lungs. So I was stage 4 bowel cancer at diagnosis. And I have to say, it was a real shock. Before being diagnosed, I sort of heard about bowel cancer, but I didn't know anything about it. It wasn't something people talked about. Since being diagnosed, I've met loads of people who've got it, and actually it turns out a number of friends have family members who had it in the past, but never mentioned it. So it's one of those areas where it's strange. It's almost like a taboo subject, or was a taboo subject. I think since I've been diagnosed, I've been aware that it is being talked about more. It's now in the media a lot more. And I think because of that, there is an awareness that's increasing of bowel cancer, which is good. When I was diagnosed, the first treatment that I had was surgery. And that was done very quickly afterwards. And the surgery was a bowel resection. And that took place a matter of 4 days after my diagnosis. So that was urgent. Once I'd recovered from that, I started on chemotherapy because my cancer had spread to my liver and both lungs. The chemotherapy that I started on was FOLFIRI, which is a combination of drugs, which includes irinotecan and a drug called 5-FU, which are all given intravenously. And shortly after starting on that, I was then also started on Avastin, which is another intravenous drug. I was on those every 2 weeks for 6 months as my initial intensive treatment, which worked phenomenally well for me. I was very lucky. I had quite an aggressive type of bowel cancer, but at the end of 6 months, my liver was clear, my left lung was clear, and the tumours in my right lung were too small to operate on. So again, I have to say I was very lucky, and it just shows how effective chemotherapy can be for some people. In terms of coping, I think one of the things early on is learning to accept the fact I'd got the disease. I think it's really important to not try and deny it, to accept the disease. And by accept it, I don't mean give in to it. Just accept, yes, I have got bowel cancer, but I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to take it on. So I think that's one thing straight away. I truly believe in the power of being positive. So my approach has always been, I'm going to take this disease on, and I'm going to use whatever tools are available to me. So whenever a treatment's been offered to me, I've been willing to take it. My approach to chemo is that chemo's my friend. Chemo's there to help me. So whilst it may make me feel poorly, I know that's a trade-off for the positive things it's doing in initially treating the cancer, and now in my long-term maintenance chemo, keeping it well under control. So I think seeing it as being an ally, a friend that's helping me, is also something I'd really, really recommend. The effect of bowel cancer on me has obviously been quite profound. I'd rather not have cancer, but it's had positive effects as well as negative. The negative, I've had to adjust my life a little bit around treatment. I'm on long-term maintenance chemo, so I have treatment every month, and that's going to be for life, but it's working well for me. It's made my friends and family aware of my health situation. We all have to be realistic and say, I have a limited shelf life. I'm probably not going to live as long as I would have done if I didn't have bowel cancer. However, it's had lots of positive effects as well. I'm now closer to my friends and family than I ever was. It's amazing. I didn't realise that there weren't any issues before, but I didn't realise that there were barriers, if you like, minor barriers between us. Now, so much closer to everybody. I'm always visiting or being visited by friends, and there's a more openness in how we talk about life, not just illness, but life in general. And also, my life is more fulfilling. I'm involved in a lot of things with charity. I do a lot to help and support other patients. But outside having cancer, I travel all over the world. I have fun. A lot of that has been stimulated by my diagnosis.